Hey folks, this is what we're working on today. We've got the Aulick trailer in here. If you remember back around wheat time, we ended up putting some new white panels on this on both sides. I think there was 7 of them in all that we ended up replacing. We also ended up putting a new tarp on it, and what we kind of neglected to do back then was work on this tailgate, and we're going to work on it now. The opening in this gate is where the knife gate goes, and the knife gate you can raise up very slowly if you're unloading grain or something. You can meter the amount of grain that's going to come out of the tailgate, and then of course you can run the belt. You can slow it down or run it faster. You could run it at a desired speed, if you will. So this is the knife gate here. I've got it sitting on the bench, and as you can see, it's all rusted out here. Now, we're going to make this gate a little different. We're going to make it a little better. They had 2 pieces of sheet metal on either side of this tailgate. What they had was either a piece of 3/4 square tube in here around the perimeter, or a piece of 7/8. This is an inch thick. And as you can see, it's all just rotted out. It's got a little bit of a bow in it. This is what these bars that are on here protrude down through the floor, and that's what keeps the gate closed when you've got grain against it and you're trying to unload off of the back end through that tailgate opening there, the grain spout, if you will. So we're going to build a new gate. I've got some sheet metal here on the floor. I've got some tubing and some angle iron and whatnot, and we're going to get after it here. But with the sheet metal double laid like it is, it allowed the tailgate to rot out prematurely here, just because the material was able to get in. You know, moisture and whatnot was able to get in between these panels. So we're gonna make a new tailgate, make it better than it was, and get that on there, get it painted, and get this ready to haul corn silage. Alright, what I've got done so far, I'm going to use rectangular tube to run around the perimeter of the gate itself, and then we're going to lay a piece of sheet metal over that. I'm using 1x3 rectangle tube, and I cut each cut on a 45-degree angle, and then I'll weld all the way around each cut. And then I'll have to grind the one side down that I'm going to lay the sheet metal on. So this gap here in this gate, I've actually got a 1x2 slid back into here. I had some 1x2 material. Can't see here. Get this lit up a little bit. All right, so I had 1x2 material, but as you can see, it doesn't stick out quite wide enough here, so I'm going to be out about here with 1x3, and that channel is about 1 1/16 to almost 1 1/8 deep here, so that gate is going to ride up and down in this channel here on the gate. So we're going to go ahead and weld our joints together. And then once we get that all welded together, then we can set it in and make sure we've got things made right. And we'll cut our sheet metal pieces and start laying them in place on that gate. I've got various pieces. I don't have one piece that is going to do the whole thing. I do have some 14 gauge over there, and what this piece of metal here is is what they used to ship the sides that came on the trailer. You can kind of see there's a bend in it right here, and that enabled the white sheets that are on the side of the trailer to be shipped without them getting all monkeyed up. And then as you can see on this corner here, that corner got monkeyed up during shipping. But that's only 14 gauge there. What we're gonna use is 12 gauge. So we're just gonna piece it together, and I'll have to put a divider in there. I'm gonna actually put it together in thirds. So I'll end up running a tube up through here, and then another one down there, and then once I lay that piece on there, you're never gonna know the difference there. So we're gonna get welding here. What do you say there, fellas? Fixing the pressure washer. Who broke it? Uh-oh. Do you have the pressure washer over here? No, it's good. Why don't you take that little black case over there? That'll have all the tools in it you need. Just bring it right there on the floor. Right between the two toolboxes. Take that over. Take the recoil off and bring it over here, and I'll respring it for you. When you start that, hold the trigger on, and when you start that, you gotta have a good hold on it, because the damn thing will back up on it. Watch it crossing the road. All right, we've got this all ground down, and we're gonna set it in place to make sure it fits inside that track. All right, we've got this all ground down, and we're gonna set it in place to make sure it fits inside that track. Alright, we've got the gate, the frame is setting in place. Now we're just going to cut the sheet metal and start to lay the sheet metal on the framework itself, and we'll finish this up. We'll have to make a bracket for the hydraulic cylinder bolts in up there, and then that bracket will end up bolting onto the gate here. Alright, the sheet metal's already cut. I thought I had to do it in 3 pieces. I only have to do it in 2. But however, I'm still going to put 2 supports in the center, so the one will catch that seam on that side, and then the other one will be somewhere right in here. So we'll tack weld that down, then we'll flip it over, and we'll set the center 1x3. Alright, I've got the center supports in, all the sheet metal is welded down. Now I've just got to figure out what I'm going to do with this cylinder mount. This cylinder mount is going to mount in the center towards the bottom. I'm almost thinking I'm going to lay another tube in here because that has to be flush mounted. So if that's the case, I need to cut another 1x3 here so that that's flush with the bottom. So I've got to do some figuring here, and then we're going to set the tailgate into place. And then what I'm going to do, I'm thinking about putting a piece of angle iron on the sides here so that when the tailgate lifts up, it doesn't cock at all as it goes up. We want to get it so it'll ride straight up. Alright, here's what we've got done this far. I'm just about getting ready to call it a night here. It is Saturday night. It's a little after 8 o'clock. We got quite a bit done on this for how late we started today. Now on this tailgate, in order to raise the actual tailgate itself for when you're doing haylage and corn silage, you have to lift the knife gate all the way up before you can raise the actual hydraulic swing gate. What this knife gate has on it is it has a couple of bars on it that when you lift the tailgate, it unlocks. When you lift the knife gate, that is, it unlocks the tailgate so that the tailgate can raise. Them bars that are on each side of that Aulick calls it a knife gate because of the way those bars go down through the floor here and over here. Now what I have is a two pieces of angle iron welded together in a receiver tube like type thing for this 1/2 inch by 2 flat bar. We're going to do things a little different here. We're going to weld this tube to here. I'm going to bend this bar down, and then we're going to have these locks run manually. We're not going to have to lock the tailgate for when we're hauling haylage and corn silage. We have a remote for this trailer, and you can run the remote from the road tractor. And what Jared was doing in the last couple years here is he was leaving the knife gate all the way up, and it left this open here, which wasn't bad except when we were opening up fields. When I would chop into the back of the trailer, we'd lose some silage out the back here. So if we are able to have manual locks, we can just use the manual locks when we're hauling grain, put the bars up in the cab of the truck and run it that way. So that's what I have going on. I've got 2 pieces of angle iron, like I said, welded together, and I've got a hole drilled in it with the bar down in there. I haven't welded this piece yet. I've got to weld that on there all the way around. I've got to make the piece for the other side. What I'm afraid of, though, I'm afraid of leaving this tailgate down, this knife gate down a little bit, because I don't want to run the risk of that belt starting ahead of time. So another thing we're going to do here is we're going to make another bar to go in for when we're using this trailer for haylage and corn silage. We're going to raise that tailgate, the knife gate that is, up just a little bit so that it's up off the floor just a couple 3 inches or so. And I'm going to put a bar in across the top, and it's going to rest against this track right here. The track on the right hand side and on the left hand side, and we're just going to bolt it fast. For the most part, when we're using this trailer for haylage or corn silage, we're not jumping back and forth, so it's not going to be that bad of a job to just unbolt that bar out of there when we want to go from hauling haylage or corn silage to hauling grain, and drop that knife gate down, put our pins in, our flat bars in to lock the gate, and then we can go from there. So I've got the one side done. I'm getting ready to call it a night here. We're going to run over, we're going to do that other side quick. I'm going to show you how I did that one. Now, what I've done on this whole project is I've used this Milwaukee all metal cut saw here to cut everything. I haven't used the chop saw at all. You did see me use the plasma cutter there a little while ago when I was set up on the forklift. But everything I've cut here, the angle iron, the flat bar, the rectangular tubing that runs the perimeter of that tailgate, I've cut it all with this Milwaukee all cut saw. And that does a really good job. It saves a lot of freaking time. So we're gonna show you how I use that to trim this angle iron down. That angle iron that I used, the angle iron that I used to make that pocket is 2.5 inch angle iron, 5/16. So it's 2.5 by 2.5 by 5/16. And I double wrapped it, and then I just took the saw and I ripped it long ways to get the width that I wanted to achieve by welding the 2 of them together. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that angle iron. I'm going to tack weld it together. I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap so that that 1/2 inch flat bar can slide in and out easily without having too much slop. And what I used was I laid the flat bar in there along with a square, which is like 10 gauge or something like that. So I had a little more than 1/8 of an inch of play. So that's what we're going to do next here. Alright, got that tack welded together. I don't want to weld that and then cut it while it's hot, because that'll ruin the blade. Pull that out. There's the pocket that I made. And then see, I can slide this bar in easily, and it's got enough of a gap to get it in and out. I've got a lot of leg left on this angle iron that I don't like. It's not ideal, the size of angle iron that I got, but this was all that was available. So I'm going to cut this leg right off. Alright, so we got that side cut. Now we're just going to flip it over. We're going to do the same thing the other side. There's my cut sides there. Left enough of a lip so I can put a heavy weld on there.